Hi there. My name is Louise Weatherhead, and you're listening to the Ira Olof's Globetrotters podcast. Today we're doing a special three-part episode on South African moms in the Netherlands in celebration of Mother's Day. This is part 2, and joining me today are my colleagues at Ira Olof's Globetrotters, Jessica Liebenberg and Alzaan van Dijk. We also have a special guest, Shantay Lindis, who is an administrator of the highly popular Facebook group South African Moms in the Netherlands. We hope you enjoy the podcast.
But there's a lot of questions, like even on the moms group, they ask, like, where do I go for the vaccinations? Like, who do I go see for a gynecologist appointment, you know? I must tell you a funny story. You can judge me if you want to. So, in South Africa, you are so used to going to your gynecologist's office, right? And then they've got a little gown there for you, which is great, right? You save your modesty, whatever. So, anyway, Shantay didn't know much about anything coming into the Netherlands, and I needed to have whatever done. So, my hairstylist said, okay, you come to me to do that. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I go, and he's like, no, you can just get undressed or whatever, get ready in the waiting area. So I was like, okay, no, cool. So you're already laughing. Oh. I love it. So I saw this white coat behind there, and I was like, okay, great, he's left something for me. And I put it on, and I went to go sit on his. He walked in, this man of 60 years old, looked at me, Galgat, beneath his doctor's. I felt like I was in a romance novel. I was like, this is how the heroine and the hero, like, this was terrible. And he looked at me, he went red. And he's like, that's not meant for you, that's my coat. And I was like, clearly, this is great. So please, ladies, rather just wear a skirt when you go do your checkups. Just lift your skirt, don't get naked. Where your doctors go.
I think that this is a perfect transition into the mommies to be. Like, say if you think you're pregnant and you do the test, then you make an appointment with a gynecologist. So, Alzaan, walk us through that whole process. How does it work here?
Goodness. Okay, so yeah, I mean, obviously I did a at-home test and it came back positive, and I was like, what do I do now? I don't know. So my logical mind was like, okay, let's do a blood test just to double confirm. So I went and did a blood test and got the results.
At the huisarts or at...
No, at the bloedprik place. I don't know how I got into that even. I don't know. I just went and I got a number and I had my blood drawn. I'm like, happy accident, I guess. Then I called the doctor called me with the results, and they were like, no, I got the results and I didn't understand them. And I was like, what's going on here? And I decided, okay, cool, I'll just call the doctor and ask them to confirm. And the lady's like, okay, cool, so you're pregnant. And the first question she asks me is, are you happy? And I'm like, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm not sad. Thank you for confirming. And then I'm like, and so I asked her, what do I do now? Because I don't know. I honestly don't know what to do. Do I call a gynecologist? Do I go to the huisarts and he sends me to someone? What's the next step? And she was like, no. You just go and Google verloskundige, which is a midwife, your area, and verloskundige, and you just pick one. And I was like, okay. I mean, we picked one. We had our first chat with the lady, and yeah, ever since she has been our main point of contact. She sends us. She calls me and schedules scans, and she just runs the whole thing. I must say, obviously, the Dutch accent isn't native, so she immediately picked up that we were foreigners, and she's guiding us nicely through this whole thing, as in, okay, now you need to get kraamzorg. Now you need to get a kraampakket. You know, a kraampakket. You know, yes, yes. Now you need to get kinderopvang. So she literally gave me a to-do list, or she gives me one with every appointment, and she's like, this is the next step. Go and do A, B, and C. And then I just do A, B, and C. Yeah, so she's been absolutely wonderful. It's been weird not having doctors involved. I feel like, obviously I haven't had a child yet. This is baby number 1. But obviously through, I don't know, cousins and whoever who had babies, you're kind of used to doctors being involved in this whole thing. And the fact that I haven't even seen my GP for something baby related. I haven't seen a medical doctor for anything baby related up until now. Has been a little bit strange.
But they only call them in if they pick up there's something wrong. Then they send you to the hospital, because I had that with closer to the end of the pregnancy. They check the high blood pressure and they think, okay, if high blood pressure, then they send me to the hospital, and then there's nothing wrong. But then that's probably the only time that I actually saw a gynecologist.
A real doctor. Yeah. I mean, obviously midwives, housewives. Midwives are well trained. They know exactly what they're doing. But yeah, it's strange not having someone with the official title being involved in this whole journey.
But that said, though, when there is say for example, you'd had a child already, and in South Africa you had a difficult pregnancy or a traumatic birth experience and whatever, they take that into account. So if this was your second pregnancy, they'd ask you what happened, whatever. And then for the moms that are adamant about C-sections or have to have a C-section for their next baby, then they do address that. So just for the listeners that think everything is done with the midwife, yes, the majority is.
So for the listeners, C-sections are not common here in the Netherlands. It's literally just if you need it. What is surprisingly very popular, I think like 1/3 of births are actually home births here in the Netherlands.
So we are at that stage now where we need to decide which one will we go with. And, will it be a home birth, or will we ask whether we can go to a hospital? Because I also don't know whether we can just rock up at a hospital and get a baby there, like.
If you choose for the hostel birth, when you start feeling the cramps, you phone the verloskundige, and then they'll send somebody out, and then they will then contact all the hospitals and find out where there's a place, and then they'll say, okay, there, and they'll take you to it.
Interesting. I was wondering because, so you go via verloskundige and you have a baby at a hospital. I assume your verloskundige is then involved also in this whole process, or do they get someone from the outside?
She actually, I gave birth in COVID, you too, so we couldn't go anywhere. They came to us. So we found the verloskundige. She came out. She said, okay, for me, she came to me.
And they're normally very close to where you stay anyway. Like mine got to me within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's so much different, hey, over there than what it is here in South Africa. I mean, we've got our gynecologists and GP and all of them involved from the first get-go. It's so interesting. Thanks for sharing, guys.
And also the aftercare help is great as well, because then you go to the Jeugd en Gezins afdeling of the Netherlands, and then your child gets their data input into this national database that keeps track of their health. And you go every couple of weeks when they're very small, to then a couple of months, and then once every few years or whatever as they get older. But it's lovely because then they keep track of the development of your child, not only in terms of height and weight, but also in terms of speech development.
Cognitive skills, fine motor skills.
Everything. eye tests even. Yeah. So they test as they grow older what is appropriate for that age. And that's funny enough how my son we first found out for my son that he had a hearing problem is because he wasn't pronouncing certain words. So they do have their space in this whole system that works. Like they do have a place.
I remember, so here in the Netherlands as well, you get a kraamzorg. So that is amazing. It's my favorite thing. It's something everybody should adopt. When we got home from the hospital with our baby, the kraamzorg lady, which is a nurse, was waiting for us at the door. And she just pampered me, let me rest, got me tea, did the washing, made sure that there was as little stress put on me as possible. I just needed to recover and look after the baby. And then she taught my husband how to bath the baby, how to change the diapers. It was in Chile, so we had that winter water kick. It scares me. So it's basically a thermos, yeah, with hot water, and then they roll it in the blankets. She taught my husband how to do that to check that there's no water that leaks through. For some reason, they are adamant in using the freaking steel thing.
I'm petrified of it. I'm like, what if it touches the skin of my child?
I have no idea what you are talking about.
You'll get there. You'll get at this. Okay. She showed my husband how to wash the clothes because shouldn't use certain detergents and aromas. How to everything basically, and then he had to then show me with her supervising to make sure that he was teaching me correctly. And it's that kind of dual involvement that is, I think, very special in South Africa. It's moms and daughters, and the husbands are like, I'm too scared to touch it because they're like this big, man, they're tiny. It was amazing because we were given like a sheet. And we had to fill in every time Lizzie pooped, every time she peed, when we changed the diaper, how much we fed her, how did she drink, when was it, every time. And she weighed her every day as well. And they noticed like, okay, Lizzie's not picking enough weight, so she's not drinking properly. They got in a lactasiekundige, somebody to help with latching, her teaching me her to latch. Also got like these big industrial breast pump thing. I felt like a cow because you have to try and get the child to latch. So it's breastfeeding, but it's not enough. It's not producing enough. So then you give her formula, and then while she's drinking the formula, you're sitting there with these two things on your breast, just pumping milk. And in the beginning, there's nothing. You get 10 millimeters. Yes. Yes. And then you start producing more, and then you start transitioning over to just doing breastfeeding.
I'm gonna say on the kraamzorg, it's nice that lady's there, and yet, like for me, I was very like unsure about having a grown foreign woman in my house when I'm feeling so vulnerable, and I've got my boobs hanging out, and this things are just happening, But this nurse is absolutely, she becomes your fairy godmother. Like she makes sure that you're fed when your husband is like, oh my gosh, what needs to be done? Like during a headlight situation, she just still makes sure that you're looked after.
But the other thing, the bonus is that there's no, it doesn't come with baggage or prejudgments. I mean, I would have been a little bit more aggressive or emotional if my mom were there telling me to keep doing things or that I'm doing things wrong, or if my mother-in-law was there. Yeah. And it's nice to know that for that at least first week, it's just you and your baby, and there's somebody helping you and teaching you with no judgment, with no prior knowledge of who you are, or they're literally just there to, okay, maybe not this way, maybe try this a little bit,
But they've got a very gentle way about them. Yeah. Very, very gentle. Like them. You need to get one.
I have one. I have subscribed.
Aldana, are you going to be opting for a hostel birth or a home birth? Are you guys still deciding?
We are still deciding on that. I mean, my motto since I found out that I was pregnant was the following: I don't care as long as baby is happy and healthy. You know, that's my thing. So I can give birth in the middle of the woods. You know, if everything is fine, everything is fine.
We'll make a story.
Yeah, it would. We could do a podcast on it. Yeah, but my husband or my fiance, he's very much, he'd like to go the hospital route. It would make him feel more comfortable, just because that's what he's used to, you know. So I think we'll end up going that route. At the end of the day, I need him to be okay so that I'm okay when I'm giving birth. Exactly. So I want to make it as enjoyable of an experience for him as possible, you know? So yeah.
Very considerate of you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm gonna go through it anyways. As long as he's okay and he's there to support me, all is good. Yeah.
And we went for birthing classes, just prenatal ones, because it was nice for him to know what to expect, what he could do, things to practice, etc. So, what are you guys gonna do?
Definitely, definitely. When and where, I don't know yet. I am taking this pregnancy as I am, or as I did the immigration, one little step at a time. There is so much, and the picture is so big that if I look at everything at once, I will probably, overheat and pass out. So I'm focusing on next step. Next step is next scan, and then we can focus on other stuff.
No, but that is brilliant because your hormones right now is all over the place, you know. So if you start freaking out, it's just going to get worse. So it's a good approach, definitely a good approach.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know. Maybe I show up at the hospital without a bag and I'm like, what bag do I need? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But at this stage, I'm smooth sailing.
Like, again, just how well things are organized here. After Lizzie was born, during that week, they even came to do the ear test at the house.
It's amazing. Oh, they come with this little machine. They carry just sit in a briefcase, and you think that they're carrying their books. No, it's a machine. Testing ears.
And then also the other heel.
Yeah. So they don't disturb you too much. They really do try accommodate you.
Oh, wow. That's
amazing. What was they did a little blood test on the heel as well, the prick. And but then everything after that, you get a little booklet from the consultatiebureau, and that's where you go for all your checkups. They will phone you to make the appointments, or they'll email you with dates and times from this is when you must come. This is what's going to do. We're going to either just do a checkup or it's a vaccine and a checkup. And then they measure the baby, they weigh the baby, they do the head circumference. And when they're older, they start doing some of the cognitive testy things. And they document it in the booklets. You get the vaccination certificates, and they document it online as well. So you can log into the profile and you can actually see, oh, Lizzie is within the average or above or below. And
what's nice also is that for the incoming moms, like regardless of the age of the child, as soon as the commuter sees that your child has been registered at your address and it's a new child to the Netherlands, that organization, the GGD, will then phone you and be like, yo, we're going to come introduce ourselves. When it's a small baby like I had, they went and they were like, we're going to come do a house visit. And I was stressing. I was like, my house needs to be clean. Like, Montessori, like, this is what we're doing. Child is like this big, but we're doing everything by the book. It wasn't about a home inspection as such. It was just like to teach us, like, hey, this is who we are. This is where we fit into the whole thing. They weren't judging of our 2 camping chairs that we had as living room furniture because we were that new. So no, really, they do help. And they will phone you, is what I'm trying to say, to make the appointment and then set up the first appointments for your child to be checked up. So if the child wasn't born here, they will get registered there. So it's not a big stress.
Did you have to, as a verloskundige, I don't know if it's with every checkup, but do they always ask you, like, how are you doing? Are you feeling okay? Is there any issues at home? Is there financial stress?
Yes. We during our intake chat, it was very much. I mean, yeah. How are you doing? What are you doing? Do you have any like stresses outside of work and family that we need to address now? I mean, there wasn't, but I don't know what'll happen if I said yes. I guess they'll assist. I don't know. But yeah, they're very much involved, and literally every time I go there, they do a quick check-in with, are you a blue, green, or red at this stage? Where do you sit? How are you feeling? What can we do to help, basically? And their helpline is 24 hours. So if at any time I don't feel lekker, I just call and they help.
We hope you enjoyed listening to part 2 of our special podcast episode, South African Moms in the Netherlands. Be sure not to miss part 1 and 3. Wishing all moms, and soon-to-be moms, a happy Mother's Day from all of us at IR Olof's Globetrotters. To learn more about IR Olof's Globetrotters and how you too could move to the Netherlands with your family, be sure to visit our website at www.thenextglobetrotter.co.za.